Actress Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman are two of the dozens of wealthy parents accused in the alleged scheme that lasted nearly 1 decade. Prosecutors say some of them paid millions to get their children into elite schools like Yale, Stanford, and the University of Southern California. The universities say they are victims. Carter Evans is at USC with the story of what prosecutors call the biggest fraud case of its kind in the U.S.
Good, YouTube. You're in the building with the all-knowing, all-loving, all-feeling, all-seeing, all-powerful Mr. Damn All Everything Sexy as Hell host. Look who decided to show up again.
What's up, y'all?
Y'all know it's my boy Larry. Today we're going to talk about this very, very large scandal that has happened in America with people of privilege paying to get their kids in college. We're going to cover Paul Manafort only having to do maybe 8 years and maybe a bonus material. But first, y'all know I got to put on these +7s of Sexy as Hell so that I can at least be as smart as Larry on this video, work on skilling my craft. Mr. Larry, now that we got you up here, let's talk about this. So the headline was actress Felicity Huffman, Lori Loughlin among 50 people charged in a massive college administration scam. The scam ranged from paying off people to add their kids to pictures to say they was athletes, paying off people to do SATs for the kids, to even paying people in colleges to get admitted. And it even hit here in North Carolina at Wake Forest, a place where I was about to go to school at.
Oh, man.
What do you think is going on with this?
Man, I have to tell you, honestly, it's kind of like they've been doing this forever. I mean, they've been doing this type of thing for so long. This is one of those things people always knew about. It's like, if your kid was dumb or your kid didn't do well in school because they were too busy partying and you were rich, then you made a large donation.
Hey.
You know, you built a building, maybe you built a new dining hall, you made a donation to the university president's favorite charity, something to that effect, and you got your kid in school. You know, this has been going on for the longest. I think the part that really is disturbing is the fact that they were running these scams where they were having people change, you know, like SAT answers, and they had them taking, you know, they had these high school students that were taking online classes, except other people were taking the classes for them.
Right.
It's one thing when you're just rich and privileged and your parents are buying you access. It's another thing when they're actually cheating other people out of their spot. Like when you've been doing the work, when you have kids that been doing the work and they pass these exams, you know, they get high scores on their SATs and ACTs, and then they go and they take all their classes the way they should, and they're basically just getting robbed of their spot because, you know, some college student is taking a test for a high school student or taking a class for a high school student. I mean, that's just straight up wrong right there.
Right, and that's where I'm at with it, because for the longest time, people of lesser means have always complained about the double standard that goes on with people who have lots of means. And this is just another situation where it has come to the light, and it just makes me frustrated as hell, simply because, like you said, there are kids who have done everything right, have better grades, work harder, maybe coming from somewhere where you're the first kid in your family to go to college, and you deserve to have that spot at Wake Forest, but because XYZ got a knucklehead kid who barely got by and they got money and privilege, they're going to get denied over you. And it's not just that they get denied, but you did it in felonious manners to get denied. It's just, it's frustrating. People have complained about this type of conspiracy for years, and nothing has ever been done about it. And then when you complain, they make you feel like you the crazy person.
And this is the other thing. There's been a concerted effort to get rid of affirmative action in education for a long time. And I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but if you remember that case from UT where that girl, and I think it went all the way to the Supreme Court, where she sued saying she didn't get in to the University of Texas because minorities had taken her spots and she should have gotten in. Well, the man who was backing her who backed her case, and people who don't know about her case, the way things worked in Texas, the way they still work in Texas is if you graduate in the top 10% of your class, you are guaranteed admittance to one of the University of Texas school system universities. She was in the top 12%. She didn't make the top 10, and that's why she didn't get in. Because not only did she not get in automatically, there were a whole bunch of other people that didn't get into UT also that were in the top 11, 12% of their classes as well. But the same guy who backed her lawsuit is the same guy that's backing another lawsuit with Asian students complaining that they're not getting into elite colleges because of affirmative action, and they want to get rid of affirmative action, saying that other students who are less qualified are being admitted above them. And what this really shows is that they probably should not be looking at minority students who are taking these exams and getting high scores and have decent grades. They should probably be looking at some of these other students who are basically cheating to get in. Parents are taking tests to get in, paying off, athletic directors to put them on teams they're not on.
Exactly.
Having buildings built. I mean, they talked about at one point somebody paid up to $6.5 million to get their kid to school.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
It's ridiculous. And what if your kid is a dumbass? You still going to have to pay that college tuition.
If you can afford $6.5 million, you don't care about the tuition. But what it is that you're going to have to jump through all kinds of hoops to make sure that kid can actually get out.
Right.
Because if your kid wasn't doing the work to get into Yale or USC or whatever the school that was caught up in this scandal, they're still not doing the work. One, they didn't do the work. They probably can't do the work, which means you're going to have to pay people to continue to do their work.
Mm-hmm. Well, a better use of that money would be you take that money, teach them kids how to invest, maybe start them a business, because you liable to blow that money. They're probably not going to make it through school unless you use your privilege power again.
Yeah. Or you can go put them in a little one-bedroom apartment next to the community college and tell them this is the type of life you can expect unless you get your stuff together. And let them fend for themselves for a year and see what they come back with. See if they come back and say, this sucks. I'm ready to get my work done.
Right. Either way, I'm hoping that when all the trials and court cases are done, I want to see the hammer dropped on these people. You've got to send a strong message that you're not going to be tolerating this type of buddy-buddy system is what it is. You're not going to be tolerating this, and that we're going to move in a different direction, because they always say life is not fair. And I always say life is not fair because human beings make it that way. And this is a classic case of human beings making life unfair, but keep it behind closed doors. And as long as it's behind closed doors, that's the age-old lesson. Life is not fair. But when you bring these things to light, it shows you just how fair life could be if you do things right.
Right. And let's just think about this. I mean, first of all, there's a couple of things with universities. One, they have lower admission standards. They have lower admission standards at most universities for student athletes. Mm-hmm. And so, whereas if you were trying to go to USC or Yale or someplace, and you needed, let's just say you needed an average GPA of like 3.3. And then you needed to have, not for Yale is going to need to be higher. But let's just say SC. Let's say you needed like a 3.3 average. And I don't know what the SAT, because they changed the scores now from when I was in school. So, but let's just say you needed, I think at the time, when I was taking them, I think the max you could get was like a 1600 or something.
That's still the same.
It's the same. So let's just say you needed like a 1250.
Okay.
And a 3.3. To get in as a regular student. So as an athlete, you may need only like a 2.5 and whatever the minimum SAT is. Mm-hmm. And which I think the minimum SAT to get a scholarship is like 900 or something.
It's very low. It's not even 1,000.
But when you can't even get that, when you can't even get in as an athlete, and you then have to pay off the athletic directors. I don't know how they expect their kids to even survive in college. I mean, they must plan on paying for everything all the way through.
They got to. You got to.
But the thing that's even worse about that is the kids, like, they're taking up a spot on these athletic teams. Like, if the doctors say, we're recruiting in 15 new kids, and they know that there's only supposed to be 20 spots, and they recruit 15 in, and out of those 15, 2 or 3 of them are dumbasses that those parents paid for. Well, those are 2 or 3 kids that really should have had athletic scholarships, or at the very least should have been recruited as athletes.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Well, I think we'll close it out on that, and we'll move on to your boy Paul Manafort.
So after a long tongue lashing from the judge, the sentence turns out to be relatively light, given that he could have gotten a maximum of 10 years in prison on the 2 counts that he faced. But Judge Amy Berman Jackson has sentenced him to an additional 3.5 years. Now, the actual sentence is longer than that, but some of it overlaps with what he was already sentenced in Virginia last year, which is just shy of 4 years. So you add the 3.5 that he gets today to the roughly 4 years he got last month. That's a total of 7.5 years. He gets credit for the roughly 9 months that he has served in prison. So he'll get out of prison and when he's roughly 75 or 76 years old, depending on whether he gets time off for good behavior.
Last week, Paul Manafort was sentenced to a car note, basically. That man got 47 months in jail for high crimes, white-collar crime that was tax evasion, tax fraud, wire fraud, all these things you hear with drug kingpins.
It was like fraud. It was like in something about fraud against the United States.
Yeah,
I mean, he was bordering like treason.
Yeah, which we're taught in our community is supposed to be the most damning thing. You hate your country and all that crap. He goes to court last week, only gets 47 months. Most people's car payment is longer than that. But let's follow what happened to him today. Today he goes back to court and he only gets 3 years on top of that. Please tell me what the hell is going on with the legal system, because I guarantee you Jesse Smollett is going to be doing more time than Paul Manafort. Help me out.
Most likely. Well, the same thing happened with Paul Manafort has been happening with the college scam. Privilege, white people privilege, money privilege. I mean, that's really what it is. It's just like if you were wealthy, if you're white, you have privilege in this country, and that extends all the way through our judicial system. And so, I mean, the good part is that the DA in Manhattan apparently just filed charges against Manafort today, right after they announced his sentence. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office filed charges against him. So those are state charges. So at the very worst, let's just if they're able to convict, which I imagine they probably will be, since he's already admitted to so much. I imagine most of what they need to convict, they already have. And so, even if the president pardons him, though that pardon won't apply to those state charges. He'll still have to sit in jail.
Well, the same people are chasing the president anyway.
Right.
In New York. So when he's done serving in office, we might see a president go to jail.
We might. We very well might. You know, most likely we'll see a president go to Russia. But, you know, I mean, that's probably what's going to happen, rather than him go to jail.
You think Russia would give him asylum for his crimes in America?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, well, damn. We'll see about that one, man. I just feel for people who are middle class, poor, minorities, what you see going on with these rich guys is disheartening. It doesn't give you any hope or belief in the legal system, because oftentimes you see these guys that do white-collar crime. And white-collar crime may not sound as destructive as robbing a liquor store or beating somebody with a gun or anything like that. But think about the money you evoke out of people. Think about the money you take from this country's resources when you do these type of crimes. I've never understood why white-collar crime doesn't have the same effect in people's mind as what people that do maybe sell a dime bag of weed would have. There's people in jail right now for selling 2 dime bags longer stints than what Paul Manafort is about to be going to jail.
Right. My only hope is that because the Manhattan DA's office filed charges, my only hope is that they'll give him, that maybe they'll give him 10 years on the state charges.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they only give him another 5 years or 6 years or something. Even if they give him 5 years.
Right.
I mean, the dude's 73 years old right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's seriously doubtful that Trump is going to pardon him before he, like right now. Like, Trump may pardon him right before he leaves office. So if he loses in 2020, then he'll probably pardon him right before he leaves office. If he wins in 2020, he'll probably still pardon him right before he leaves office.
Right.
But he's not gonna pardon him beforehand, because it wouldn't make if the Manhattan DA gets their conviction, it doesn't make any sense to pardon him on his federal charges, and then he still ends up just over in state prison. It just doesn't make any sense to to give up that sort of political capital for no real effect. So
yeah.
I don't know, but to what you said as far as the system, I mean, I hate to sound cynical, man, but I just, my mom's an attorney. She's been a prosecutor at the county level. She's been a state prosecutor for the state of California, and she left the prosecution side because she just talked about how the system is so corrupt, and how
mm-hmm.
And how so many officials, police officers, and other public officials just lie to get their convictions, and it's just dirty. People are dirty, and they don't respect the judicial system. They don't respect the Constitution.
Nope. They only respect themselves. Like I said, another situation where things could be fair if human beings made it fair.
Yeah, but that means everyone has to agree to make it fair. And I mean, could you imagine as a black person,
mm-hmm.
if we were extended all the same courtesies and privileges that Roger Stone has?
Oh,
I mean,
good Lord have mercy.
Could you imagine that some drug kingpin or somebody else had been arrested, was let out on bail,
mm-hmm.
and then goes and posts on Twitter or Instagram a picture of the judge with crosshairs on it?
Man,
forget even crosshairs. Just imagine that person posted a picture of the judge. They would have that person locked back up within the hour with their bail revoked. And this dude gets another appointment to come back to court, a few days later, like the next week, where they give him a little bit of a reprimand to tell him to stop. I mean, they should have revoked his bail and been like, yeah, you don't have to worry about this because you won't have access to social media because you'll be in jail.
Right, man, because that's, like I said, that's frustrating, it's disheartening, and it just wouldn't be like that for somebody in a minority status or someone who doesn't have this much power and clout. You would be under the bus.
Yeah.
Looking at it, so.
And the whole Manafort thing pisses me off because this isn't just about finances. This is not just about someone not paying taxes,
right?
Or just not registering to lobby. This is about dealing with Russia and Russian intelligence officials
against your own country.
This
is, like,
I mean, it really. I mean, if this were a non-white male, if Manafort had been Asian,
he'd be a terrorist. He'd be a terrorist.
He would be considered a traitor.
And a terrorist.
If he was Arab, he'd be considered a terrorist. If he was Chinese, he would just be a traitor.
Right.
But I mean, it's just horrible. I mean, you have on one end you have these people up there claiming that Barack Obama wasn't even born in the country and challenging his Americanness simply because he's black, and then on the other end you have Donald Trump surrounded himself with actual Russian agents.
It's unreal.
And there's question about whether or not he's an actual Russian asset. I mean, this isn't me speculating. This is what 17 different U.S. intelligence agencies questioning whether or not he's actually a Russian agent.
Exactly.
Our president? That's crazy.
And then to supersede all of that, You have an ongoing active investigation into election tampering involving Russia that involves the current person occupying the White House.
Right. Right. And it's not even a matter of if it happened. It's already been determined that it's happened. It's just a matter of, did he know about it? Did he request it? Did he condone it, or did he help it along? I mean, that's only really what they're talking about right now, because the whole thing with the Russian election tampering, it happened. We already know it happened.
Right.
It's been confirmed that it's happened.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Larry, I'm gonna get you out of here on that. I didn't mean to run it this long.
No,
but...
man, let's keep this going for a few more.
Okay, well, what you got next then? What you want to do next? What's next?
Oh, man. Okay. All right. First of all, let me say, I have not watched the whole R.Kelly documentary.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
How stupid would it be for me to, with my crazy past and what I've been through, right now I just think I need to be a monster and hold girls against their will, chain them up in my basement, and don't let them eat and don't let them out unless they need some shoes down the street from their uncle. Robert, stop it. Y'all quit playing. Quit playing. Robert. I didn't do this stuff. This is not me. I'm fighting for my life.
But I have a few thoughts on the whole R. Kelly thing.
Mm-hmm.
So first, let me just say, whoever paid his bail, shame on you. Unless you're like a parent or a sibling or something, some random fan. Come on, for real, you know. And then somebody else paid his back child support.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on now. I mean, good for the kids that they get the money and all that, but. You know, come on. But here's the thing with R. Kelly, right? R. Kelly's been doing this dirt for so long.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, all this now is sort of like fake outrage. Like, oh, let's go get him now. All I think that really happened is he stopped making money for white folks. I think the people at his labels and everything, I think he just stopped making so much money for him. They were like, he's not really making what he's used to making. We're done with him.
Mm-hmm.
And they just stopped protecting him, because I mean, and part of the reason why I say he didn't have any money and he's not making that much money is because when he got locked up, he couldn't even bail himself out. I mean, if the judge if I got locked up and they were like, your bail's $100,000, I could bail myself out. I'm not even rich,
right?
You know, I mean, when he couldn't even bail himself out, I mean, dude's not making any money, and I think because of that, they were just. I think the people at his label and his distribution company, whoever else, I think they were just like, we're done with him. You know, because it's not like he hasn't been doing this for decades. I mean, he married Aaliyah when she was like 15? You know?
Yeah,
he had that videotape peeing on that 14-year-old girl that he went on trial on and beat the case like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, no one could be. You can't sit up there and act surprised like, oh, this is something new. No, he's been playing with kids for decades. That's his thing.
That's what he does, man.
That's what he does.
But the thing is now, I don't think that R. Kelly is broke per se. I think he's got money somewhere where he can't get access to it. Like he's probably got money cross seas so that Americans can't get into it, that type thing. And he doesn't have access to getting to the cash. So like he doesn't have cash here in America, but you can cool believe that man has got something stashed away somewhere. Something.
Maybe. I think you're thinking like you. If you had that kind of money, you would have money stashed. But, I mean, you're trying to take care of all these. I mean, think about all the kids that he's up there molested and housed. Think about all the parents he's had to pay off. Yep. I mean, I bet you it's costing him millions of dollars to keep these people quiet over the years.
Oh,
I mean, that's just a lot of money.
I'm sure it was. I mean, and I think he's getting ready to finally go down, though. The only thing with him is I don't think he's the type of guy who's built for jail. So no. I think you're going to have him on suicide watch. And I'm being very honest about that. I hope it doesn't happen, but I just can't see him being the type of guy that's going to go to jail and be comfortable with that and be able to do it.
No, he's not built for that life. Nah, he'll be. But I'll tell you the other thing that really upsets me about this situation is when I see black people's response online, on social media, and the way they want to come out and try and defend him. And
Lord.
I'm like, come on, people. I'm like, you know, I get it. Like, some people are saying, oh, this is wrong. Why are they going after him and they're not going after these people? And then they post these memes with like 8 or 10 white people who've been, you know, also been dipping in the kiddie pool.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I get it. Those people are wrong too, and they should be prosecuted.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, but is R.Kelly's heel the one you want to stand and plant your flag on? Is that the one you want to? Is that where you want to fight?
It used to be. It used to be, but now everybody's planting their heels on Michael Jackson.
I mean, Michael Jackson's the same thing.
Same thing.
Everybody knew Michael Jackson was dipping in the kiddie pool for years, and a lot of people felt bad because for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, come on now. As a parent, people can say, "Well, I didn't know. Oh, he seemed childlike." I mean, come on, for real, man. I mean, if I had kids, there's no way in hell I'm leaving my kid with a grown ass man.
In the bedroom, in a bedroom at that. Why the hell are you having a sleepover with a grown ass man?
I'm not leaving my kid with a grown ass man. Period.
You could forget it, man.
Unless I really know that person. I mean, if it's something like my brother, one of my friends from school that I've known for a long time, and I'm like, yo, I gotta run up to wherever, can you babysit? Yeah, but not like they were talking about. Oh, they had him come out, went to Neverland Ranch. They had known each other for about 4 hours, and then he's already in the bedroom with the little boy. I mean, who does that?
Bruh, those are some psychological issues that he should have got worked out a long time ago. I mean, you can look up and down Michael Jackson there was evidence that he had some psychological issues. Let's just start with him bleaching his damn skin from head to toe. That's an issue. That's a mental disorder. That's a psychological problem.
Bleaching his skin, all the plastic surgery,
his hair.
I mean, nonstop. The dude was trying to turn himself into a white version of Dinah Ross.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's sad, and I don't mean to speak ill of the dead, but the dude was. I mean, I spoke bad about him when he was alive. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love his music, and this is one of those things I think a lot of people have a hard time with, is separating the artist from the art. There is a big difference between the two of them. There's a lot of great artists out there who are crazy as hell, that have done horrible things to people, that have been violent, have been perverted, have been racist. I mean, I don't like the stuff that Mel Gibson talks about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a horrible human being, personally, from what I can tell from the things that he has said. But the dude can make a hellified movie. I mean, he is a skilled filmmaker, and there's no denying it. And I'm not going to sit up there and say that his work sucks because he's a racist piece of crap. His work is still incredible. He still has an incredible body of work. He's just a racist piece of crap. Do I want to go out and buy his movies? No. You know? But if I can watch them for free, I'll watch them for free. You know?
Yeah, but to that extent, when you have people doing such heinous things, or they have these just immoral practices, yeah, you can separate them you can separate the artist from his work, or the person from whatever it is they did. But I still don't think you should be memorializing these people with fucking Confederate statues. That's just an eyesore, or running around here with the damn Confederate flag, waving it all in people's face. You don't see them doing that to Jews.
No, and you shouldn't. And I'll tell you the other thing, the thing that's unique about the Confederate flag in these statues is that, one, they didn't start putting most of those up until the Civil Rights era, because they wanted to put them up as little power moves to tell black people, look, you are still second-class citizens, and you're still basically considered slaves. But the reality of it is that what's unique about this is the Confederacy represents people who were treasonous to our nation. That in itself should tell these people we need to find another way If we want to try and oppress people and subjugate people, we need to do it in another way that doesn't dishonor our country at the same time.
No, because it just tells you. I always say when you see somebody who has that Confederate flag up, it only tells you two things about them. Number one, either they're stupid, or number two, they're trying to portray being racist. That's it.
That's both.
But the thing is, those are the same people that are running around here and tell you they love the country so much.
But they don't.
And I always say to them, then why are you just waving a Confederate flag? Where's your U.S. flag if you love the country so much? You're waving the flag of the fashion that became known as a traitor as you look back in history.
Right.
So if you don't understand that fact, you're doing it just to taunt minorities. Either way, you're in the wrong. And you can give me all this shit about, oh, my granddaddy fought in the war, so you're proud your granddaddy fought in the war to be a traitor to this country.
Right. That's the thing that gets me is people, oh, it's my heritage. So you want to celebrate a heritage, a culture of treason?
I mean, you can celebrate it, but you don't need to be celebrating it in front of everybody, in front of the rest of the country. Celebrate it at home.
You don't need to celebrate it. If you want to celebrate being a traitor to America, then leave. Those are the type of people always telling people, if you don't like this, you don't like that, then leave. How about if you like the fact that your grandfather or whoever else was a traitor to America, you want to celebrate a culture which is treasonous to America, then how about you leave? Or how about you go someplace else?
Or it would be like the descendant of Hitler saying, I keep wearing this swastika because Hitler was my great-great-granddaddy. How the hell does that sound?
That sounds crazy. I mean, you should change your name and never acknowledge that part of your history.
Exactly. And yeah, man.
I mean, that's the reality of it. I mean, that's just me. You know?
Yeah, man. Well, bro, I'm going to get you out of here on that one. We got to get this one back up next week, bro. I'm throwing this one on DTube.
On DTube? All right.
DTube. I might put a copy on YouTube too, but it's definitely going to be on DTube. Guys, make sure you subscribe to Larry's channel. Check us both out on DTube. I've already got stuff up there. Larry's putting stuff up there.
Yep. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/todayifeellike. And DTube, I'll be up there. I'm gonna start loading stuff up. I got my channel set up, so it's gonna be BLK and BLK Photo. So I'll get some stuff up there soon.
I'll let Larry do the outro because his is cooler than mine.
Oh man, it's been great seeing you guys. You know. The holy Lamont with the Life Gains channel, and I am Larry with TodayIFeelLike.com. Thank you guys for coming and seeing both of us, and until next time, love, peace, and hair grease. Peace.